freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round one recap for this week's U.S. Open. And joining me to break it all down, it's Kyle Porter and KP. We are not in the same room right now, but we had the pleasure of watching some live golf together on a Thursday. How about that?
It was the best. Today's been maybe the longest day of my life, but it's been one of the I love it. I love being at majors. I love covering majors. You know, it was funny. We were talking about how there's not like the major buzz right at Torrey Pines, but yeah. I still had just the best time today, and we got to hang out. We got to walk around, holler about just nonsense stroke. We just got to yell about strokes gained and just nonsensical things. I think we have a photo that we have to address that got kind of apparently me. I mean, I'm on a streak of taking photos at major championships that get blown up on Twitter. But yeah, I had. And I think you probably also had just a really, really fun, great day at Torrey.
Yeah, absolutely. It started a little later than normal, 90-minute delay, which is why we still have. There it is. Producer Jacob showing it on YouTube. There's us out there. This is for the hour or two that the sun came out. A little overcast, a little cloudy, but that's us looking good. There you go. There's the comp. That's the same thing. Which one am I in this photo? Which one am I?
I said this on HQ rig. As we were taking the photo, I could feel the yeah, speaking of memes, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube right now, there's a photo of Jacob impersonating my meme from Augusta National, which was arms crossed. You did pretty good here. That's pretty solid.
It's strong, right?
But as we were taking that photo, I could feel like we were on kind of a hill, but like it was like a side hill deal. And in my head, I'm like, this is not gonna play well. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I was sure that it was not gonna go well. And sure enough, it did not.
The internet is a place that we cannot control, and I always seem to take L's on. So nothing new this week. Let's talk about the course. Torrey Pines, one almost full round in the books. We've kind of chatted throughout the day about the architecture, maybe a little bit about the difficulty, but with basically every round in the books, a couple guys with some holes to go. How does this hold up through one round?
You know, I think architecturally it's not a wing foot. It's not a shinnecock. I don't think anybody is claiming that it is. But I think what's really interesting, and I think you saw this play out over round one, is that it accentuates – I mean, it's a PGA Tour stop, right? And I think the way that it is structured, it accentuates what stars on the tour have learned to do well, which is – hit it forever and then hit greens and go from there. And Rory basically said this. I was actually talking to him a little bit about it during his round about misses off the tee being not, I mean, the corridors are huge. Like you can kind of just miss, but then you have to hit a green, like you have to hit greens in regulation. That's what Brooks did. That's what so many of the guys at the top, they hit 12, 13, 14 greens in regulation, and that's a U.S. Open. But I just, all that to say, I think the course architecturally is not perfect, but I also think because it's a tour stop and because it sort of accentuates what the best PGA Tour guys do well, it's produced a leaderboard that is, I feel like we could get like a leaderboard on Saturday that is just out of this world, just unbelievable. I mean, the names that are within 4 right now, it's DJ, Rory, Hideki, Louis, Sergio, Rahm, Xander. I mean, Brooks. I mean, like that's not going away. Those guys are just that cream is gonna rise to the top over the next 2 days, which I'm really, really excited about.
Yeah, it's certainly wide open at the moment. It's Russell Henley carding a 4 under 67 on Thursday that vaults him to the top of the leaderboard. He is tied, KP, with Louis Oosthuizen. No surprise that his name is near the top in a major championship. Now, he's only played 16 holes. I believe he has a putt that he has to finish on 17. He'll have to play his 18th hole of round 1 and then come back out on Friday for the entirety of his second round. He was happy to mark and get off the golf course on Thursday evening.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I didn't sprinkle a few nuggets on Louis to win. He's been playing so well at majors. He's so good at U.S. Opens. We've talked about this all week. His finishes, I think it's 5 or 6 straight top 25s at U.S. Opens. It's phenomenal. I'm curious about those other guys. If you can pull it back up, Jacob, the other guys at the top of this board. Okay, so take Louis out of it. The other 3, Russell Henley, Francesco, and Rafa Cabrera-Bello. Who to you out of that group has the most staying power at the top?
That's a good question. I think just game-wise, it's probably Russell Henley. He's one of the better ball strikers that we have, or at least iron players, and he was pretty good from tee to green. He gained 3 strokes on approach on Thursday. Molinari, I think, kind of gives me some. I would consider Molinari because of kind of the pedigree, which I guess is only, I don't know how many wins he has, but it feels like he does have a better pedigree than Russell Henley. But Henley's been a great approach player for a very long time.
I think I'm Henley as well. I was just talking to one of my colleagues here about it, and he was like, I kind of have a Russell Henley feeling. He's led. Or I guess he's co-led at a U.S. Open before. I was looking back in 2018. I think you and I were talking about this out on the course after we took that photo. He co-led with DJ, Ian Poulter, and somebody else. So I don't know. Is Russell Henley going to win the U.S. Open? Probably not with the caliber of guys behind him. I mean, Rahm's within 2, Brooks is within 2. That's tough to hold those guys off. But I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Henley was, in one of the last 4 pairings on Sunday.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. So Russell Henley, Louis Oosthuizen 4 under par, Rafa Cabrera-Bello at 3 under, along with Francesco Molinari, and then you really get to some of the big names right behind this. Let's start with the guy that you already mentioned in Rory McIlroy. So he's at 1 under par in opening round 70, and we have talked about the struggles that Rory has had not only on his opening hole, but in his opening rounds at recent major championships. Did he make birdie or did he par his first hole today?
Birdie.
He birdied it. He birdied it out of the gate. So he breaks that, and then he gets a little bit of. I think 7 is an interesting turning point moment for him. He misses the fairway, hits a shot that's pretty poor, kind of flies the green left side on his approach, and then he hits a miraculous chip that goes down. And look at this. Brewster Jacob on YouTube is actually going to show us this. So there's the drive. It's wide. Here's the approach. It goes long. He chips this in. And I wonder if for him, KP, who kind of has these first round demons, to kind of steal 1 or maybe 2, this could have been a 2 shots theft from Rory McIlroy, if this goes a long way in setting him up for the final 3 rounds.
I thought he was interesting today. He was very, I don't know what the right word is. He was kind of just bouncing around. Like, he had a ton of energy. He was running all over the course and just very chatty with his playing partners. Very, he was like fist pumping the crowd after he made the birdie on 18. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Fist pumping the crowd.
Okay. Yeah, he's fist pumping the crowd. Sorry, I was going to just blame the USGA for their shoddy Wi-Fi here. No, I love the USGA. Fist pumping the crowd. He had a ton of energy today, which I think we've a little bit come to expect him to kind of be tight, to kind of be like, this is the way he was today is kind of who he is. 95% of the time, and then he'll just get a little tight, it seems like, at these majors. So it was cool to see. He seems very loose, and I would not be surprised at all if he's in the final pairing on Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. I don't know if he's got his best stuff. I mean, man, how many times do we have to say it? Like, he's just got to hit his wedges better. He had some approaches today that it was like, I don't know what the numbers are because I was out there watching it and I wasn't by the statistics, but they were just not good. And you got to hit greens. That's what Brooks just pounds greens in regulation at U.S. Opens. And Rory can't be doing what he did on 15, which is have a 90-yard approach and hit it over and have to get up and down. You could do that a couple times, but to do that consistently and go on to win the U.S. Open in this field, it's just really, really hard.
Rory was dead even on approaches on Thursday. He also owes Justin Rose a bottle of wine. I don't know if you saw this, KP, as they knew the sun was setting. They knew they were running out of time. Rosie 7 over, runs up on 18 to hit his tee shot so that group can finish.
So I was talking to Dustin Johnson's agent at the time, and I was like, one of our other colleagues was there, and I said, I guess Justin Rose was the sacrificial lamb here because they just trotted him out there to hit the tee shot. But they were hustling though. Like, they really, really wanted to get 18 in. Those guys did not want to come back out on Friday morning.
And they did. They got it in. Okay, I mean, there are so many names. We can't talk about all of these. Let's talk about Brooks Koepka because he went out early on Thursday, and I mean, right out of the gate, he just gets off to a great start. He started on the back 9, so I believe he made 3 birdies on his opening 9, made a couple of bogeys coming in, but this just felt like here's Brooks at a major championship, rolling in putts. You and I were looking at the scoreboard a couple hours in, and we're like, oh my God, he's going to win this thing, isn't he? He's already under par, already atop the leaderboard, already being major championship Brooks. Yeah,
I mean, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me 13 times. I don't know who the shame is on, but you picked correctly in the one and done. You and I were both trying to pick between Brooks and Bryson, and I don't know why I ever pick against Brooks. I don't know why you ever would pick against Brooks at a U.S. Open, right? He's owned U.S. Opens. He's been. I tweeted this stat out: 465 guys he's gone against in his last 3 U.S. Opens. He's lost to one of them.
It's bonkers.
He's beaten 464, and I think that, he didn't even putt it that well on Thursday, which I think is a little bit scary. His approach shots are just. He just pounds greens. He pounds greens. He hits so many greens in regulation and from everywhere, right? And he makes really good pars and bogeys too. He made a bogey on 3 today that
he needed. Yeah,
he shouldn't have made. He made a par on 8, 7 or 8. Yeah. What's the par 3? 8.
Yeah.
That he shouldn't have made. And those are 2 strokes that just give you wiggle room come Saturday afternoon or Sunday. So the tournament runs through him. I wrote that for CBSSports.com. He's not leading. He's not the defending champion, but the U.S. Open runs through Brooks Koepka as of Thursday night and until further notice.
I know that this is not new, but I noticed it today. I can't remember the last time I've seen Brooks play live because I haven't been to a lot of events recently, obviously. He is literally hitting the ball as his playing partner's ball is hitting the ground.
Yeah.
It's
Rory
unbelievable.
Rory and DJ were doing that today too. And it's kind of disconcerting because you watch guys take a ton of time and then other guys take no time, and it's disorienting to watch. But yeah, he's a demon out there.
It made me nervous. Like the 3 or 4 times I saw him do it, it made me nervous. He stuffed all of them. Okay, I mean, this is Kyle's pick. Potpourri here. We've got John Rahm 2 under par, Xander Schauffele 2 under par, Hideki Matsuyama 2 under par. Them or anybody else? Take your pick.
To win the tournament or what?
No, let's talk about him. Who do you want to talk about here?
Let's go with Rahm.
All right, John Rahm goes out, shoots an opening round 69. He starts on the back nine. So he opens up birdie, bogey, bogey, birdie, birdie, bogey. So a little bit of a psycho scorecard through his first 6 holes, gets it back together, plays his final 12 at 2 under in the final 12, bogey free. This was one of those scorecards that just as things kept rolling on, you just saw John Rahm's name keep hanging there. And then as of right now, this moment, it's good for a T5.
Yeah, he always does this thing, and I'm sure he'll do it again this week, where he'll kind of fall back a little bit, and then he'll go on just this tear of 3 birdies and 5 holes or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, John Rahm's like in it, you know? And I think for him, the key, so I think the USGA is going to do this thing that they always do, which is they let you go a little bit on Thursday, and then they pull you back on especially Saturday, Sunday, but Friday as well. And that really, I think, frustrates guys like Rahm. And that's fine. Like, I don't buy into the whole, oh, he can't win because he's angry or whatever. Like, I mean, have you watched Tiger? Like, did you follow his career? The thing that the thing that's happened with Rahm is that he will allow his frustration, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, to affect shots, to affect 2-3 shots down the road, and that can't happen. And it does happen because the USGA is going to pull it. I mean, it got pretty fast and firm on Thursday, and they're going to, I think, pull it in even more. And that just is infuriating to pros who are used to just having things kind of the same every day, and to get bad bounces and all these different things. That's my big thing to watch for Rahm over the next, especially the next Friday and Saturday before the setup for Sunday.
The ebbs and flows of John Rahm. I want to look at the odds board, but we've got to give a nod to the round that Matthew Wolff had on Thursday. He went out early. He played the back 9 first, and he birdied 3 of his first 4 holes, KP, and then he ran into some trouble at 15, 16, and 17. He played those a combined 4 over, but then he got it back on track. He made 8 birdies in this round. When you tally it all up, it's a 1 under 70, and it's more than just the physical side of it. He is, he's given us some quotes. I forget the exact quote, but essentially, like, it's not always daisies and rainbows or whatever. I forget what he said exactly. And this is his first competitive individual round since the Masters. He did play the Zurich, I believe, in April as well, which is the last time we saw him, but he's taken some time away from the game.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He had a quote on Thursday where he said, I wanted to come back at the U.S. Open because I knew if I shot 78 that he would get hidden by a bunch of other 78s.
Oh, I thought he was going to be like, I'm only 4 shots off the lead or something.
Well, that too. I didn't see the context of it. I don't think he was joking. But I apologize because I didn't actually – I just read the quote. I didn't see it. I thought that was interesting because it tells me that there's just – and I talked to somebody about this on Thursday a little bit. There's just a lot going on. And I don't think it's like nefarious. It's not like there's some hidden, secret to be found out. I think it's just like you're growing up on this global stage, and that's growing up is hard. Becoming an adult is hard. And to do so with millions of people watching you is really hard. And I just, you feel for him because you and I know what it's like to grow up, to get older, to have responsibilities, all these different things. And it's difficult. And it's cool to see him be vulnerable about it. And it makes you want to root for him more, I think, than even before. And I already liked him. I already was rooting for him. But yeah. I think that vulnerability is very, very compelling. I hope he has a good rest of the week.
So do I. Certainly a name that, I have very little rooting interest in or financial interest in, other than the fact that I just hope he does well. I just hope he plays well. Jacob actually has, I believe, the quote here. So it's, quote, I think I put too much pressure on myself. It was a hard decision because I'm so new to the tour and it's my first or second year and I didn't want to walk away. I don't even think I could, to be honest. And then when I finally started to get to a bad enough spot, honestly, I was like, you know what? I need some time, which is actually a pretty mature way to handle it for a guy who's 22, 21, 22.
20, yeah, he just turned 22. Yeah, that's a different quote, but kind of the same.
Yeah.
What was the quote that I about shooting 78.
About shooting 78, yeah.
Kind of the same vein. I mean, it's all connected, right? And that was what the guy that I talked to about this was like, it's not one thing, it's 20 things that just kind of add up. And I don't know. I'm rooting for him and he had a very Spiethian card on Thursday, which is always fun. It's always a joy.
Eight birdies, 2 doubles, 3 bogeys, and by my quick count, 5 pars is quite the day. Okay, KP, we got to look at the odds board here because a lot of big boppers at the top. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Jon Rahm, no surprise. I guess maybe there is a little bit of a surprise here. Is your favorite at plus 550. He was the closing favorite, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised there. Brooks Kepka right behind, plus 700. Both of those golfers 2 under par. Louis Oosthuizen, who has a hole and a half to play and is currently tied for the lead, is 8-1. And then Xander Schauffele, 2 shots back of that 4 under, 10-1. Those are the first 4 names on the betting board.
Are you surprised at Rahm over Brooksy?
Yeah, I mean, I actually I as I was saying it, I said, oh, it's a surprise because I was expecting Jon Rahm to be there, but I was expecting Brooks Koepka to be the favorite because I agree with your statement that this tournament kind of runs through him. But I suppose when Jon Rahm was the significant pre-tournament favorite and he is at the same 2 under par that Brooks is, books can't do that to themselves by making Rahm like 7, 8, or 9 here. I think they have to do this. I think this is not really reflective of the true odds to win the golf tournament. I think it's more reflective of the sports books and their risk aversion.
So it's reflective of like where they started the week at. Is that right?
Where they started the week, how much money they took on Jon Rahm before the week started, and they couldn't possibly have him at 7-1 or 8-1 as he's 2 shots back after he was already the favorite. And they probably took a lot of money on him. Yeah,
that makes sense. I don't like Rahm at that number. I don't dislike Rahm to win. I just don't like him at that number. I kind of like Rory and Hideki.
Yeah, I like that too.
Just because of the numbers.
Yeah, Rory's 14, Hideki's 16.
Rory's 3 back after round 1, and he's at a number that he's normally at before the tournament starts.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wrote this late on Thursday night. I think that this course is going to just draw out all these guys that you see on this board. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. I think most of these guys are going to be. I think this is going to be your leaderboard, like on Saturday afternoon. Now, not exactly, and there will be other guys sprinkled in, but that's how I envision it. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just, to me, that's what Torrey Pines seems like it's going to kind of create over the next day.
6 shots off the pace and 2 over par. Bryson DeChambeau is 40-1. Is he still out there banging balls at the range?
He was. So I did HQ on the range, and our camera guy, they turned the scoreboard off that Bryson was using to allow himself to see the ball to hit it. And our camera guy went over and offered Bryson our lighting that I was using on the range. And Bryson was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to hit balls in the dark.
No, he did not.
Yeah, and our camera guy was like, I mean, he was cool about it. But our camera guy was like, okay, I guess I'll pack up. And he was, I don't know if he's still out there, but it's 10 o'clock or 10:15 local time.
Yeah.
And when I left at a little after 9, it was dark and he was wailing away.
Looking for something
Yeah.
after an opening round 73.
I deeply regret taking him over Brooksy. Deeply regret it. What were his numbers? What were his strokes gained?
Let's see.
Do you have them?
He was so he gained a stroke and a half putting. He gave that back around the green, so basically even there. He lost a shot and a half on approach, and of course he gained 2 strokes off the tee. So it was an approach issue.
I think that he was so good from 150 and in at Wingfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't feel like he missed a shot on the weekend. I know he did probably, but he was just really, really solid. And this is the part that we talked about. Remember when he missed the cut at Memorial when he made the 10?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
And you're like, I don't know, man. Does it work? I think it does, but when it doesn't work, it looks really bad because the driving is still so good that when everything else doesn't work, it just looks horrific. And I think it sometimes makes you overstate like how bad his game is just because it looks bad. It's kind of like the JT thing. When it looks bad, it looks really, really bad. Because when it looks good, you're like, how does this ever not work? So I think that's I don't think it was really that bad. I think it just looks like that a lot of times with Bryson because he hits it so far out there that you just think, well, he should shoot 67 every day.
I watched him absolutely steal a shot on 8. The pin on 8 was just in a devious position. You had no chance to get it close. You had to play it up to this kind of upper tier, and you had to just breathe on one down the hill. I don't know what he was, probably 25 feet. He rolled it in. Everybody gave him a good roar at 8, and he stole one there. He was soaking it up, but he couldn't keep that momentum the rest of the way. Yeah, unfortunately. So we'll see.
Maybe he'll shoot 66 on Friday and play his way into.
And when Friday's round is over, the First Cut Pod will be here to talk about it. I think that'll do it for now. Kyle Porter, very long day in the books. Congratulations. For now, let me thank producer Jacob. He does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Kyle Porter, still on site working hard for us at Kyle Porter CBS on Twitter. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been the First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.